And we are following some breaking news this morning. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84. Cheney died yesterday of complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease.
Now, he's known for being one of the most powerful and polarizing vice presidents, and also a leading advocate for the invasion of Iraq in 2003, and that, of course, in the post-9/11 period. For more on this breaking news this morning, we're joined live by John Micek, the politics editor at masslive.com. John, appreciate the time this morning to talk about this. I mean, Dick Cheney, we talk about a polarizing figure, whether it was, the war on terror, whether it was, weapons of mass destruction. What do you think the legacy of Dick Cheney is going to be?
Good morning, Nick and Jennifer. Yeah, this is quite a way to start the morning. It's an election day here in the United States, so it was sort of fitting to hear the news about Dick Cheney in some ways. One of these people who's been active in American politics for decades, going all the way back to the Nixon administration, starting out as a young staffer there, really leaving an imprint on American politics. And I think when most Americans think about him, as you correctly pointed out, they'll think about his role in the second Gulf War under the George W. Bush administration, making the case for weapons of mass destruction, making the case for invading Iraq, an American war of choice. Mr. Cheney and his band of neoconservatives really were in the business of sort of the advancement of American democracy or of nation building in other countries. That led to a 20-year occupation of Afghanistan that Joe Biden finally got the nation out of, a long and bloody conflict in Iraq that saw thousands of American servicemen killed or wounded. So, there are some who view him quite negatively for that interventionist role, for that activist foreign policy. But there is no doubt that he's left a significant imprint on American politics over the course of, 5 decades.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, just before, his death, looking at his later years, he's kind of that band of new GOP Republicans that are kind of against Trump. He spoke critically of Trump as well, and even voted for Kamala Harris in that last U.S. election.
Yeah, Dick Cheney was somebody who marched to the beat of his own drummer, even when that drum took him away from the Republican Party, at least as it exists now. As you point out, in 2024, Cheney and his daughter Lynn Cheney, a former congresswoman from Wyoming, both broke with the Republican Party, became very vocal critics of then candidate Donald Trump, now President Donald Trump, with both of them endorsing Kamala Harris in 2024. Dick Cheney, I think, was somebody who thought a lot about the legacy of the Republican Party that he had grown up with, saw the direction that it was going under Donald Trump, didn't like what he saw, and made his views known.
So on that, John, has the current president, Trump, said anything, tweeted anything? He seems to like going on social media. Any reaction so far?
I have not checked in yet this morning. I probably should have, but I have no doubt he'll have something to say about it.
It is interesting, though, because, Dick Cheney, is affiliated not only with George W. Bush, but, of course, George H.W. Bush. He was his Secretary of Defense. So, a long-time sort of stalwart Republican here. And that really is interesting to see because, some people sort of look at the Bush era, maybe not so fondly, sort of depending on your politics, but then they compare it to the Trump era, and some people then start to turn and say, well, that's a much more favorable era for the Republican Party. So it really speaks to the complicated situation, not only that Cheney was such a big part of, but the complicated and changes to the U.S. political right, really.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about that. I was just starting out my career I've shown my age, as a journalist under Gulf War I, and it was really when I became aware of Dick Cheney as the U.S. Defense Secretary, under George H.W. Bush. History always looks a lot more golden. Legacies are always a lot more burnished with the passage of years. And there's that profound difference between Gulf War I under Bush the elder and Gulf War II under Bush the son. A real coalition building under the elder George W. Bush, a much more go-it-alone policy under George W. Bush, Bush 43. So, the juxtaposition between those two conflicts and Cheney's role in them is kind of fascinating to think about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fascinating indeed. Thank you so much, John Micek, politics editor at masslive.com. Appreciate it.